Good evening, my name is Michael Zilly Aggrey, and I'm going to be talking about my interpersonal communication project. Introduction. To develop an interpersonal communication design that will demonstrate my appreciation for maintaining an accurate awareness of needs and resources while seeking to develop healthy, healing, and holy relationships. Also to demonstrate my ability to compose and deliver an oral message with clear and purposeful content. Self-assessment. Based on the self-assessment test I took on discoveryhealth.com, my results showed that my communication skills are average, leaving plenty of room for improvement. My score was somewhere in the middle on the communication scale. Not picture perfect, but not the bottom of the barrel either. I should put some more time and concentrated effort into developing the communication skills that I already have and pick up a few new strategies along the way. Enlarging the conversation. Enlarging the conversation means we should be open-minded and give room for exploration and research. Stewart says in his book that communication is a continuous, complex, and collaborative process. This means we cannot always come to a full conclusion during conversations, and we cannot make our communications one-sided. Also, according to Kling, the goal of enlarging the conversation is to provide a framework that will better enable persons who embody different styles of Christian scholarship to converse respectfully and intelligently with each other and with their other religious and non-religious peers in the academy. Overarching goal. My overarching goal is to develop and maintain vibrant communication skills, especially in terms of listening, while using my Christian faith as a guide. This can be accomplished by using the resources and knowledge that I have gained from Human Services 508 course at Liberty University and other helpful materials such as various scriptures and teachings of Christ. Description of how my background and behavioral blend have influenced my conversation. According to Carbonell, behavioral blend is easily described by an acronym, DISC. D means dominant, directing, and decisive. I stands for influence and inspiring. S stands for submissive and sensitive. C stands for critical, cautious, and competent. Based on my background, I find myself more closely associated with D, dominant, directing, and decisive. Also, this is because I have always been in position of authority and leadership at various levels in my life from high school up until college. People in authority are known or expected to be dominant, directing, and decisive. However, being dominant and directing and decisive has affected me both positively and negatively. Positively in the sense that I have been able to make important and difficult decisions that was beneficial to me and to my audience. Also, I have been very direct in putting my point across to my audience. Negatively in the sense that I hardly listen to what others have to say because I feel I might be undermined. Also, I tend not to give room for any form of criticism. Defining the potential barriers in my interpersonal context. 1. Poor inhaling. Inhaling in communication is simply the intake of what is being communicated to someone at any time. The inability to inhale effectively will result in exhaling wrongly. In order to inhale properly, I must take into consideration the two processes of inhaling, which according to Stewart are perceiving and listening. Perceiving consists of 3 processes, and they are selecting, organizing, and inferring. These 3 processes are very important in order to achieve proper inhaling. Secondly, lack of mindful listening. According to Stewart, mindful listening is the mind and body working together to communicate. Stewart went on to say that it does not require 2 functioning ears to listen in a mindful way. He said mindful listening requires you to see, hear, and feel with your whole being. Therefore, in order for me to become a mindful listener, I must be fully involved with my mind and body to what the talker is saying. Thirdly, avoid totalizing. Totalizing is one of the many mistakes people make in communication. According to Stewart, when someone totalizes, he or she acts as if a single facet of an individual is the totality of that person, or as if that aspect is all that is important about that person. I must refrain from totalizing by being open-minded and see people based on their character and achievements rather than a single act or facet. Fourthly, avoid being judgmental. Peterson makes a clear distinction between making judgments and being judgmental. He says we all make judgments and draw conclusions, but they are simply our thoughts. Being judgmental is different. He believes it denies ownership, kills openness, puts us above others, and invites defensiveness. To avoid being judgmental, I must obey the scriptures in Matthew 7:1, which says, "Judge not that ye not be judged." Fifth, avoid biased listening. According to Bonnie Allen, biased listening occurs when we form an opinion about the level and value of what will be said. We label the information ahead of time as unimportant, too boring, too complex, or nothing new. Biased listening can occur due to negative experiences, and for me to be unbiased, I have to think positively and don't let my past conversations affect my future conversations. Sixth, avoid the faker. According to Bonnie Allen, when people pretend to listen to you when their minds are actually off on a flashing tangent, this style of listening is known as the faker. I realize that I have found myself doing this knowingly and unknowingly, sometimes due to fatigue or too much information to process. The best way to deal with faker in me is to be honest with the talker and postpone the discussion or take a break. Also, to having self-awareness will help me listen honestly and rather than fake. Identifying and providing solutions to noise pollution, internally and externally. Internally, the kind of noise pollution I experience is what goes on in my head during inhaling. Rather than pay attention to what is being said to me, I find myself thinking of something else and pretend to be listening. Bonnie Allen calls this behavior the faker. In addition, according to Peterson, some ways I can overcome internal noise pollution is by repeating accurately what is being said to me. Also, the use of paraphiling, which puts the talker's feelings and emotions into my own words. Also, decode by checking my translation with the talker. Doing this and more will help me block internal noise pollution. Externally, some of the main noise pollutions experienced during communications are addressed by Peterson, and they are loud noises such as machinery, traffic, phone calls, tapping of foot or pencils. A good way to avoid external noise pollution is to be aware of your surrounding and yourself. According to Aggrey, self-awareness is the process through which the human organisms relate itself to its ecological environment. This environment may be conceived of it in physical, mental, emotional, social, or cultural terms. Once we have full awareness of our environment, we have a better chance of controlling the happenings around us. My plan of action is simply to use the various communication skills that I have learned from this course to enable me become a better listener and successfully communicate. This can be achieved by avoiding communication barriers and reduce the potential of being a good communicator. Also by following some of the important points suggested by Bonnie Allen. Know what to say, know as much about the listener as possible, gain favorable attention, beware of non-verbal behaviors, secure understanding, aid retention, encourage feedback. Finally, continuous study of the Word of God will help me become a better communicator and listener, as well as build my faith and relationship with the Lord. Thank you.